Hey you folks, Cool18 here, and welcome to another episode of our pre-release Let's Play of Rising Tide, the expansion for Sid Meier's Civilization Beyond Earth. When we last left things off, we were pretty close to giving Hutama a giant hug with all of our military units at his capital. Oh, nice little quest completion there. You might want to pause and read the text, because I think it's going to go away soon, but that's a lot more Harmony experience points, which is great. More progression there. We get some more Xenomass than usual, which is really nice, and I think that will complete some unit upgrades, and if we're very lucky, I think it's going to upgrade our gunboats. Yes, it will. That's right. That's what we were waiting for. We were actually going to just wait until technology hit, but we happened to get a quest that accelerated things a wee bit. And now we get to choose whether we're going to go bonus against land units or sea units. And generally speaking, on a map like this, I do tend to like the bonus of sea units because my priority is to just ensure that I have dominance over the sea, total control over the sea. Even if it takes me longer to kill land units, as long as there's no ships to worry about, I'm going to be in a very happy making location. Get some Pharma Labs going up there. Of course, we do have a little bit of healthiness problems, but because you just spanned out a couple of cities, and it is expected. Oh, this is still something that kind of annoys me. I can't remember if this was an issue in Civ 5 or not. I don't feel like it was, although probably it was, and I'm just imagining it. Maybe it's because in Civ 5 there are just fewer barbarians than there are aliens here, and I think it works a little bit differently. I guess in Civ 5 it is a problem, because sometimes you'll get a message of like, hey, did you mean to declare war on this guy? And I'd be like, no, I was just trying to move into a spot. I hate that you can click on Fog of War, and a unit will move there and attack if there's something that happened to be in that spot that you didn't see. I wish that if you clicked on a tile in the Fog of War, and you got there, and there was a unit there, even if it's one you're allowed to attack, I wish it just stopped the movement and sort of like prompted you to do something else. And there we go! Hutama, for some reason, a little bit angry at the fact that I am bombarding his cities. I can't imagine why that would be. Gotta set up some new trade routes here. I suspect these are some of the trade routes that used to go to Hutama. Of course, one of the things we had with Hutama is +3 trade routes in our capital, and we have lost that. And that's unfortunate. That was a really good agreement that I was super happy about. Is this? Oh, this is a cruiser. This is not a. Oh no, it is. That's right. My gunships are now called cruisers, and it's the cutters that have been renamed. So we're gonna do a little bit of bombardment, and you can see here, you know, these ships are not. They're not like artillery style ships. They don't have a bonus damage against cities, so the damage is not maybe quite as high as we would like. There's also not an unlimited amount of space here for me to bombard. My ships don't have a range of 3 or anything like that. And yet, looks like we're going to be okay. That did require that I had to sort of use up a lot of space there. I'm leaving one tile open so I can still move in there with my melee ships. But other than that, we'll have to wait. Looks like Freeland should fall next turn, though. And not too long from now, we're going to start seeing the new peace deal screen, which has changed in Beyond Earth. However, I will warn you that it is, in the build that I was playing, it was incomplete / glitched or something. There's some more work to be done there, which is too bad, because I'm really interested in the way the new system works. I think it's a lot better than anything we've seen in Civ 5 or anything like that. Well, better-ish. I don't know, it's weird. They're trying to sort of automate things and create a sort of a war score kind of system that sort of shows you how much actual war score you've accumulated against someone else, and then that you can use that to negotiate your peace. See, here he's come. He's just asking us to go back to, well, sanction state, which is the neutral kind of state, right? The sanction is the default state. And so I don't want that, okay. So, and then it's got that weird extra accept screen. Again, the diplomacy screen, most of it is really, I mean, the new diplomacy system is awesome, and most of it seems to be done, but the war part of it seems to be a little not yet finished, right? A little bit of lack of polish in a couple of things, and other things just still being kind of broken. Again, we are a few months from release at the time that I played this build, so I have full faith that it won't be quite like this at release, hopefully. Hey, we got a new boat upgrade. That's really good. We're going to go from a cutter to a screamer, which also has a nice actual Harmony look to it. Looks very cool. It's like some sort of stingray or something like that. Our soldiers are going to get upgraded over to the brawler, which doesn't really matter so much. This is a very aquatic map. I don't really think we're going to do much in the way of soldiers in it. What am I going to take? Oh yeah, I went for the exploding one, which I don't think I've ever done, because I haven't played that many Harmony games, because I just don't tend to spawn near Xenomass for some reason. And I think the last time I picked the other build, so I think this will be my first time going with the exploding soldiers. Basically playing with banelings, and that makes me very happy. because I only play the Zerg when I play StarCraft 2. Get a trade depot going on over there. Trade depots, always really good, obviously, because building extra trade routes is super nice. But now that they also give you diplomatic capital, they become that much more useful. I think at this point I'm shopping for maybe a World Wonder. I'm like, yeah, I haven't built a World Wonder. I should probably, you know, see about getting one. Looks like, was that the Exogenesis pod or Ectogenesis pod? I'm not sure. We'll see. There we go. We're going to finish the bombardment. This should soften Freeland enough. Oh, yeah. Look at that. Bring it way down, and then we're going to move one of our Screamers in and take over the city. Oh, yeah. Because it is a sort of a fresh install and everything, it does warn you that, hey, attacking cities is dangerous. I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that this city is safe to attack. It's got no hit points left. Bam. Paul Australia lost its capital. Wonderful. And at this point, I would be very, very, very happy to negotiate peace with Hutama. Unfortunately, this is where I was saying that the screen is a little bit whacked out for it. There's the bottom. So you can see here, under the current peace terms, because of our war score, Paul Australia will surrender a city to me, which is cool. I was like, oh, that's really neat. Unfortunately, he doesn't agree. And you see there's missing dialogue here. So I think that this should not fail. I don't think it's intended to be something that's rejectable like that. I think it is just an incomplete portion of the diplomatic system, which is a shame. And as you'll find out, continuing to see more videos, basically the AI will never peace out. They'll sometimes come at you with a peace deal to go back to sanction, to effectively just I don't know, call it quits. Just go back to neutrality. And as far as I think I've only seen happen, I think they would only come at me like that before I took a city. After that, I'd accumulate too much war score for sort of just a flat peace to happen. Anyway, so ultimately it means that if ever we get into a war and we take a city, I believe that we are going to be unable to peace out just because of this this incompleteness in the diplomacy screen at this point. So just be prepared for that. And yeah, so at this point, I haven't really committed to any sort of victory condition. I was just sort of playing, I'm pretty sure. One thing to note is that this game, I believe, was limited to 150 turns. After 150 turns, the game would end. So we're going to do that. But I think relatively soon after I finish with Hutama, I'm like, you know, maybe we can take all the capitals. We might be able to swing something like that. Ah, there's a eudaimonia. I have no idea how you'd say it. Look at the unhealthiness. We went from negative something, I don't remember what it was, to plus 10. And we're going to have huge amounts of happiness from now on. Hey, we'll get a little bit more happiness, or health rather, from our tidal turbines. I think that's what the quest was for. Better resistance gained. Yeah, more upgrades. Very good. So Tom has obviously got another city over there. So we'll head over there. I mean, he's at least got one other. What was it? Jimboomba that was going to be in the peace deal? Now, one of the things was, I think it's possible that the city being offered up in the peace deal may have been his new capital as well. Like, there may have been, you know, again, more glitches there. I'm not sure. So that may have been part of it, but in any case, I'm looking forward to what the peace system will look like. They did talk about a few different ways they want to change it. For example, you know, giving you maybe an option as to what city gets asked for, or instead of taking another city, because there's plenty of times when I don't want another city, but I'd happily take, you know, some extra money or something like that, and then just call it quits at that point, because I might have a health limit, especially if I'm going for, well, I was going to say, especially if I'm going for a domination victory, I only want the capitals necessarily. But even if I'm not going for a domination victory, I may only want specific cities just for strategic reasons, because of the resources it provides, or, I don't know, just because they're very productive, or they're in a good position or something like that. You can see we're still having lots of issues with aliens. I mean, obviously, I keep attacking them, so they continue to be a little bit pissed off at me. But in addition to that, there are just a lot of them, and they're sort of in the way. There we go. There's another alien structure, and we've completed that. Completed Ice and Quest. Oh, damn. It went too fast. But it was +3 something. Damn it. Why did I close it so quickly? Oh, I got to build a vivarium for something else as well. But I think that completed the Marvel quest. I'm not sure. Again, we had a discussion. I had a discussion with the developers about, like, these Marvel quests are supposed to be a really, really big deal and feel very dramatic. Also, whenever someone finds, so there's like, for like these brain corals and stuff, somewhere on this planet there's like a mega brain coral, and it's when someone discovers that the Marvel quest starts for everyone in the entire game. But right now, it just sort of adds it to your quest log. And so we had a discussion about making it a bigger deal, making a bigger sort of explicit pop-up about how this very, very dramatic and important quest has started, and also making it a bigger deal when you complete it as well, rather than just feel like a generic quest. And I'm hoping that gets in there, because I think the idea of these mega quests is great, is really fantastic, but I think you really have to draw more attention to it. There we go, an aquatic expedition. Again, no aquatic goody huts in the build that I'm playing on, but apparently they are supposed to exist. Trade vessels, and yeah, so I've got a bunch of trade vessels that currently can't do anything because they were in Deep Castle, and I don't have the +3 trade routes anymore. Then again, I'm quite willing to just peace out with you, buddy. I would be quite willing to peace out with you and not even take an extra city. You'll see me load that quite a few times here because I haven't, at this point, I haven't figured out, or I don't know for sure that the peace screen seems to be completely glitched out or not functional. So I keep hoping that, he's just being stubborn as an AI. But eventually, I will figure out, or maybe even talk to the developers and oh yeah, no, it really just doesn't work right now. And you'll see the same thing happen even if I'm going to war with other people. And no matter how much damage I do to them currently, they will not peace. So, I think I'm going to slowly migrate my fleet around to the other coast here. Maybe clear out a little bit more of the aliens just to make some space and also make sure they don't start to attack me. Preemptive strike! It's the Bush Doctrine. And then we're going to find whatever city is there in the Fog of War. That might be Jimbuba. I don't know. And blow it to smithereens. All your base will soon belong to us. I love these new messages, by the way. They're fantastic. I think at this point, too, there's a possibility that he may not have wanted to peace out because he does have a lot of ground units and with a possibility to retake a city. I'm spoiling it right now to say that, no matter what happens, he's never willing to peace out, but what the hell? Is that a worker unit? I guess I could have taken it, but obviously it does make better sense that I should focus on just bombarding his troops, making sure he can't do anything. Right, we did go and explore that city location. That's great. Man, we need a lot more expeditions. There's still a big part of me that wishes that you could automate explorers to automatically go and dig up expedition sites. Just because I'm still kind of bad at tracking them all. It doesn't help that in this build, of course, the little tooltips for all the expedition sites stay up forever. But there's still part of me that would like to do that, where they automatically go to the closest expedition site, dig it up, and then if they're out of expedition units, run back to your base, pick up a new pod, and then again start over by running out to the nearest expedition site. It is a slightly more advanced mechanic, and it might be confusing to people. I don't know. Obviously, the AI can handle it, so the potential is in there. But oh well. I mean, I'm happy that at least they've got Auto Explore on, and they will prioritize goody huts. That's at least something. But it would be nice if explorers had a button where they would automatically go and try to dig up expedition sites. So I've only got my screamers here. I've only got my melee units. I'm a little worried about moving, yeah, see, into bombardment range of the city, which is exactly what I do. Oh, Jimbuba is an aquatic city. How cool is that? Aquatic cities, now, I don't know if it's an actual innate thing. I don't know what the mechanic is yet. I do know that aquatic cities are supposed to be inherently squishier. Both positionally, because they often don't have the same cover like mountains and canyons and hills and things like that, right, because water is flat, but their actual city defense numbers tend to be lower, and I think they just have innately lower built-in defense, unless you're playing as a North Sea Alliance like I am, because the North Sea Alliance, our specific trait is higher base defense for our aquatic cities, which I'm assuming just brings it more in line to ground cities as well. So, but you can see here, Jimbuba is a lot squishier. Now, it is a smaller city, and B, it may not have had any defensive buildings. So, I'm not sure exactly how it works out. I just, was told sort of in general terms that this was the case, but I don't know the math behind any of those things. It might be possible in a tooltip. I'm not sure if it's there or not, but by the time the game's out, we'll know the actual facts. If they actually do have a penalty or not, or if it's just a positional thing, or because you can't ever put them, say, on a hill and get an extra defensive bonus, or some damn thing like that. We'll see how it goes. And it's not necessarily a good sign to look at my own cities, because I very rarely build defensive buildings in my own cities, because I always I don't know, I'm I'll just build production stuff instead. Yeah, I don't have a bomber nearby yet. I only have my melee ships. I have an excess of them there. Can I move a cruiser into range to soften that thing up? Not that one. Maybe the other one? Nope, didn't have enough movement. This one should, unless I do that. So that's too bad, because I could have definitely taken one bombardment at that ship if I'd left that cruiser with 1 unit of movement. But it looks like I'm just going to melee it down. Bit risky. My units are much more powerful than the AIs. I am starting to go up Harmony quite quickly, and of course we've got to remember this is a relatively low difficulty over here. We're playing on Mercury difficulty, which is one of the easiest difficulties. This was a save that was pre-set up for me. When I showed up, they already had this save set up with the NSA as my nation and in that particular location, and the map and all that stuff, because they wanted to make sure to pick a map that showed off some interesting things. For example, they knew they had a couple of these Marvel quests available on there, and I don't know, maybe... I'm not sure what else they want to specifically show off, but they knew that this save would be an interesting one to show off some new features, and presumably, you know, not be broken or something like that. They probably did a couple of test games on here to make sure that, you know, everything was in place and functional, which is the smart way to do things. Again, you know, when a game is so far from free release, I understand. I'm a programmer, so I certainly understand the multitude of teeny tiny little details that have to be finished before you publish anything, before you release any sort of software. It's such a pain in the ass, and it's so surprising. I mean, the saying, and it sort of applies to most any field, but it definitely applies to the computer field, the idea that the last 10% is what takes up 90% of your time. You know, finishing all the little text doodads, trying every possible combination of move to find out which one happens to be slightly broken, and then fixing it. You know, in Q&A, finding every little typo, every bit of missing text. And of course, balancing everything just takes so much work. And anything that's user interface related is always the worst and the most time consuming. And this expansion seems to have a lot of user interface stuff, right? Right, the new diplomacy screen, the new unit upgrade screen, the artifact screen, all those. And for whatever reason, user interface works is so much more time consuming. I think because there's more iteration going on, because you sort of, you know, you put some squares up and you're like, okay, does that look good? Does not look good? What if we move it 1 pixel to the left, 1 pixel to the right, slightly different color? And it's like, oh, this button doesn't work quite right. Oh, we've got to make sure that when you hover over the button, it changes color properly. And oh, we've got to make sure it pops up a tooltip and get all these stupid things working. And there's so many parts to it. Whereas, ironically, doing something like the combat math tends to be really easy, because it's just, you know, you just write a couple of formulas and then you're sort of done. Obviously, you know, balancing and rebalancing is a lot, but like showing players the visual outcome of combat probably takes you 10 to maybe 100 times longer than actually making the combat work. Like making it so that when you're doing this bombardment, it's like, okay, we got to change the we got to highlight the legal tiles. When you mouse over a target, we want to show you like a cool little arc animation. We've got a toolbox in the bottom left corner to show you all the stats. Obviously, when you click the button, we've got to play an animation first, then show the damage, then, you know, complete the move, then do all this. Whereas in the background, yeah, like you could make a text-based adventure that's exactly the same as Beyond Earth in a tiny, tiny, tiny fraction of the time that has exactly all the same mechanics, except, you know, no real user. That would be a cool idea. Maybe we should do something like that next Let 'Em Dare. A text-based 4X game. Shoot, that might work. All right, I'm gonna have to write myself a note to remember that. So yeah, so that's why, like, it still has some big amount of development time. And the build I'm playing here is not representative of literally their latest internal build either, right? That's always the other thing. When you do demos and previews like this, you tend to have to like freeze one version of it. You're like, okay, we've got a good amount of features in this particular build to show off. What we're going to do is we're going to branch off. And then we're going to take a bunch of programmers off the main game to make it so that this demo, we got to make sure this demo doesn't crash and is actually functional. Meanwhile, the other half of the team is going to continue developing new stuff, right? So you waste all this time not developing new stuff just to make sure that the demo is functional enough so that people can try it out. But it is a very important part of any software development, right? Whether it's a game or whether it's an actual application, you lose extra time doing these extra little demos because you have to finalize the demo in a way that some of that work gets folded back into the main game, but some of it doesn't. Some of it just gets thrown away because the main game is a moving target, and whatever you're fixing for the demo may actually not be in the main game anymore. Software development. Don't become a programmer, kids. It's very frustrating, mostly because of managers. Anytime I ever had a bad time programming, it was like, I was like, it's because of the managers. Managers make bad decisions. Or at least not fun ones. Programming can be a lot of fun, but some bits of it are boring. Oh yeah, I took Jimboomba. And I think at this point that Paul Australia only has one city remaining. And I mean, obviously I could leave them. Even if we're still technically at war, I could just be like, yeah, whatever, you know, I'll just ignore you. You probably can't build another army. But I think at this point I'm like, you know what? I think I should just put you to bed. That way I don't have to worry about out of nowhere, a handful of units coming. And oh yeah, this was another funny one. Invisible city. There's a city right there. And I'm like, wait, what? Sneak attack. There's a city right there. I think it had to do with the aquatic city moving and not being updated properly. We're going to see that another point in later on, if I recall correctly. There'll be a bit where there's like a city tooltip that is left over an old spot where the city was. And we'll have like double, not the tooltips, but the title, like where it says Deep Castle in the middle of the screen there. We'll see like 2 of those on the map at some point. I don't remember if it's one of my cities or one of the AI cities, but clearly there was like an issue with updating the map visuals based on aquatic city movement. But we have wiped out Paul Australia at this point, which was never my intention. I feel bad, Hutama. In fact, I'd be really, really happy if you'd still be alive and I could set up the trade agreement where I get +3 trade routes in my capital. I mean, we might not be able to get allied anymore, so it might only be +1 or maybe +2 if we can get back up to cooperative. But yeah, I guess actually you'd fear me. The fear level would probably be pretty high, so I suspect we actually could get those higher arrangements, but that would have been nice. But unfortunately, I had to wipe you out. Now, luckily, at this point, I have gone... What am I looking up here? Not everything in the Civilopedia is done. I think I'm spelling that wrong. Come on, Quill. Expedition has an E in it. But you can see here, it still says Expedition Site and has the pop-up. And at this point is, I think, where I'm double confirming with the developers that, oh yeah, okay, this is a map glitch. I mean, I'd already figured out that the tooltips, the little icons, were a glitch. But I'm like, an Expedition Site tile... Is that special? Is that something I could put a city here and it does the difference? And it's like, no, that improvement is not actually an improvement. It shouldn't be there. It's a graphical glitch. So, all right, moving on. What can I bombard? Oh, there's an alien. Should probably just get rid of them. I don't know. I think those aliens, was that a manticore so it can bombard? I think it spends a lot of time shooting at one of my ships and basically just giving me a bunch of experience points. So I can't complain too much about that. So yeah, I completed that dig. It's just the visuals for that dig site stay there. I'm going to send my explorer back to the city to rearm. And we are going to wrap up this video here. So look at that. Within one video, 20 minutes, 22 or 23 minutes here, we've gone and eliminated all of Paul Australia. Feeling pretty good. Happiness is still positive. It's really nice that we went down prosperity so much. It'll pay off pretty well. Can't wait to see what happens next. See you, folks. Bye-bye.